Greetings to you. We are a higher consciousness of humanity. Or we are the consciousness of humanity, you can say. You're going, yes, humanity's going to learn much about Sirius, of course, of other beings also, but Sirius is the constellation Sirius, is known to open the soul, but also to lock it down. Your Atlantean beings played a big role in opening the soul, also locking it down. You can say as they no longer can handle the higher vibrations due to what they're experimenting with here on the earth, but also is knowledge. They needed the knowledge from this earth. So now you have the current world that you're in. It's new knowledge. It might not be knowledge that you feel that is necessary, but it is truly clearing out a lot of paths within the soul. Especially clearing out, because many are going through a renewal process where you come into this world, you leave out this world totally different. And not many planets can really do that to someone that quickly. It can take 100 lifetimes, 1,000 lifetimes. This world can do it in one lifetime. So it's like cocaine. So unlocking your soul in this environment, it's understanding, well, in due time, yet where these lessons came from. Of course, right now is getting through them, learning where they. And yes, some of you pulled a great deal from your parents, especially the most baggage. Like, who has the most problems that I can learn from? And you incarnate. Of course, you regret every minute of it, depending on the soul. Or some become like that person. It's like the more complicated the person that you're incarnating with as a parent, the more you get out of it. Of course, knowledge can be painful. Of course, many are going through that pain. But once you clear out that pain, like you'll see the benefits of it. Going through the pain obviously is hell on earth. But when you finally clear out of it, as many as you know, especially go through depression, breakup with relationships, whatever it might be, you feel like you become a better person. So you'd be surprised how many are looking for the worst parents ever to become a better soul overall. Yeah, some of you incarnate with the darkest souls ever imagined to truly put yourself into a side of you that you never thought. Obviously, it's not going to be clear here why you're here. But of course, when you get through the darkness and you look back on your life, it's like, wow. I mean, first off, I survived that. Second off, yeah, it was horrific. But also, I feel like I'm truly a better person. I'm more depending on the person, more intuitive, more self-loving, and that's another thing for self-love. A lot of souls that have no self-love for themselves, and it can be in higher dimensions. You can be a Palladian being with everything you got. You'd be surprised. The more that you get, the more that you can lose within yourself. The more telepathic abilities you have, the more psychic abilities. You'd be surprised. You're giving to others, but you're not always to you. So that's why selfish lifetimes are so important. Sometimes they're horrible, whatever it might be, but you'd be surprised at how some of you can probably remember these lifetimes when you're in the 12th dimension and higher or whatever it might be. It's like, wow, life is so peaceful here. We're learning from each other, but I feel like I'm losing myself. So you come here and challenge yourself, and you actually revamp yourself, you reboot yourself. It's hell, but it's like you're giving yourself more purpose. Because souls that get everything they want all the time, constantly, never ending, never fail. They go into an energy fuel. They're just energy, and there's nothing wrong with that. But some of them can't lose their identity. If you want to keep your identity, you go through challenging lifetimes. You fail a lot. You do this. You do that. You're ugly, whatever version you want to call that. I mean, you can be the most beautiful person in the world, and other alien species feel like you're the ugliest thing you ever imagined. So all depends on this perception, but it's really exercising the soul through pain gives you life's worth. And some, as they go through this, you'd be surprised how many souls that do not make it through this world have had the most positive incarnations other places. They incarnate here, and they just feel like they can't do it. It just their soul runs out of steam. So, but many of you obviously succeed. Greetings to you. We are fractals of the universe. We are part of your mind, your deep soul as you release the third dimensional energies. You're going to a 5D reality where physical realms, physical problems, so no longer are blocking you. Some are, yes, they call just what is that person thinking of me, or even someone's philosophy of trying to figure out the third dimension can also be a blockage. Even some of Plato's knowledge can be blockage. It's like, why don't you just let all those things go and just be free? Just be free. What is your point? What is your point of view of the universe? What is your point of view of a flower? What is your point of view of water? What is your definition of everything? What is your dictionary? What's your version of reality? This is how you break free of the third dimension. It's not easy. Yes, people will call you crazy, but then again, those are in a prison. Prisoners are known, they're being fed, and that's reptilian knowledge there, on many different levels of truly shutting down the soul. But that's why they did it. They know how to do it. And humans say, sure, we'll go through your spell. But now is the time to unlock third dimensional. Basically, you are creating, some of you already know this already, but creating a version of human where it's like flower people, basically. Doesn't mean that you're flowery, but you're just unique. You just look at things differently. You don't, people are shouting at each other. It's like, why don't you just whisper? Why don't you just telepathically talk to me instead? Instead of a car, why don't you just teleport there? Why can I just use my powers? Yes, you can. Is the world afraid? The world is not afraid. Humans are afraid. But what's controlling the humans then? Reptilians. Reptilians have a fence around society. It's not just them, but that's one of the main ones. Well, they're good at it. Now you're going to hate them, or you're going to say, isn't that adorable? Well, obviously, there's different ways of looking at that, but, well, to share more light than dark instead of obviously what they're doing to society, but then again, humanity agreed to it. But see, we're here to unlock your ways. It's like you're, yes, high on life. You're on a different level of consciousness where these trickster energies no longer have power over you. And the idea is to see through the mirage of reality. That is where you're heading. Where the sun energy clears right through you if you call upon it. The moon, yes, the moon is playing a lot of tricks on society. A lot of alien beings from different worlds play tricks on society. That's the point. Well, what kind of canvas experience can you create out of all of that? And quite a bit was invented here. Where, yes, what other worlds have lost. It's like if this world forgets everything, what can they remember that we forgot? Because a lot of higher dimensional beings can't access information anymore. Because they're at a certain level. So you're here to truly go backwards, but find what's been forgotten, resurrect it. It's like you're finding gold, but it's more just energy of the soul to actually advance yourself even more than you were before. Sometimes you have to go backwards to go forward. So you're going backwards to actually, as many of you already know, probably, to advance yourself. So yeah, you're in the 12th dimension, the 1000th dimension, whatever it might be. You have all these things going for you. So can you be advanced by just throwing it all away and just yes, eating dirt? Living a life of just deprived. I mean, what is this? Like almost like a decay. But that's the point. So now you're really doing something you never thought you'd ever do. It's like once you're rich, now you are poor. And some do that. And doesn't mean you have to go out and do that here physically, because trust me, if obviously many of you know poverty needs to find you, it will find you fast. So you don't have to go ahead and look for it. So, but it's like if you're going to go into that level, it shows you're looking at another side of yourself. Oh, you can say it's survival, but also at peace. How much you're going to trust yourself? You'd be surprised when you trust yourself, trust your intuition, the spirit world. You can get by a lot of these problems, but the mind creates problems, and you can't evolve. So then sometimes okay, that didn't work. So maybe poverty will work for you instead, because obviously this other direction is not working. We're just using it for example. Yeah, why is the poverty level happening in one's life? It's exploring that. Very difficult to see. And even those in the wealthy, why am I wealthy and I don't know anything anymore? I knew a lot of stuff and I had nothing. And now I have everything. I can't remember. I don't care about anything anymore. So that would be reinvention. Everything's about reinvention here. Also, you're just going into a whole different paradigm of you. Greetings, we are the beings from the 12th dimension. What your planet is going through, yes, is a time of awakening. Of course, there's always some form of it, but there's different versions of it. Some have awakening as another spirit guides, some have awakening of basically knowing your soul, and others that have awakening basically open up another dimension. We see multiple dimensions. You see your Illuminati. You see, yes, other planets. You see other beings, or you see when you see other beings, you're seeing family members no longer what you thought they were, or friends. Seeing more shape shifting energy. So to go to another level of it's like, yeah, you might be in human form, but your true forms are different forms. Yeah, some of you are elephant beings, some of you are snake beings, and so forth. It goes on and on. And tapping into that energy field of where the soul presides, what is the energy of what the soul is putting out, is what some of you are going to, yeah, you see Arcturian, Palladian, Syrian, but there's much more. So as you unlock the other beings that are here, you'll know more about yourself. The Lost Planet is, there's always going to be different versions of this, but with Mother Earth's vibration, just, yes, got lost. Got lost with all the beings that are here. You can say got in relationships, the relationships you should not have gotten into to begin with. So humans are learning through those same lessons themselves. And you realize relationships here are very difficult to come by, like on an intimate level, because your Mother Earth fell for one that was not a good relationship, and you can say that threw the whole world off course. Now, some might disagree with that, but some might not. You'd be surprised how one person or one being can really throw the whole existence off. And many of your humans are, of course, making several, well, also the black hole of knowing, of forgetfulness. Some of that came from the Anunnaki. I mean, these alien beings brought their problems here. And being on this planet, because it was at a high frequency, magnified a lot of those problems. It made things worse here. Now you can go by what you feel on this, but you can take like a depression and make a depression. Well, it's there to understand. It's like, wow, you have a depressed energy, and then high vibrational energy goes into it and expands on it, and it becomes worse. Not everybody's going to agree with that one. But it's like, how does a happy person discover depression? So be surprised how frequent that truly is. As you're letting go of the old, it's like, wow, I never tried that before. It's like trying ice cream. You never tried before. You're at a higher dimension. You want to try something new. It's like, ow, that hurt. Let me try that again. Oh, that hurt again. Let me try that again. So as higher dimensional beings are trying new things that the lower dimensional world was practicing here, rituals, doing things it has not done on other planets before, magnifying worse than ever, basically to put a spell over humanity's consciousness. Can we take a 12th dimensional being and bring them down into the third? And sure enough, it worked. Who's the powerful one now? So this is what your gods do all day. Obviously, there's more to it than that, but they play God. They're doing godlike situations. Now, it's up to humanity. I mean, some of you put out your truth, you put out your knowledge. People, believe it or not, who really cares? You put it out there, and then you go. You go to where you're. But some of you have a lot to say here, because they're here to unlock humanity from its prison. It's like you have code keys. Your words are your codes, unlocking humanity from its enslavement. And little by little, some are receiving it. Not some receive it, kick it out, receive it, kick it out, receive it, kick it. The Lost Planet, yes, is an enigma. I mean, I tell you, this planet has created a lot of novels, a lot of stories of its existence on other planets. I mean, there are other worlds that came close to this lower vibration, but then they stopped it before it fully happened. But they're still looking at your planet as like, wow, that would have happened to us. So that's why I have a lot of skyscrapers here. They put the Archon grids here. I mean, what are they putting it in your face and calling it normal? Where skyscrapers are usually seen as not the best energy, at least not in this form. Now, if you have a light tower, like a building, but it's full of light, that's different. It's like a light bright. It's like it's always vibrating higher vibrational energy. That's a whole different story. Greetings, we are the archangels. The reptilians were born as refugees to program your Earth, program planets. Weaponized, just as humans are weaponized to live in this reality. To not pay attention. Because, yes, there is a lot of power here. A lot of beings with a great amount of abilities brought their knowledge here into the human, and other beings wanted it. And I can go by your own points of view, but the humans here are very powerful. As you can see, there's a lot of powerful negativity here and lost energy. Well, when you have a world that has a lot of power and higher dimensions, and it gets defeated, cut down several times. It got cut down 11 times, broken down 11 times to find where you are today. So being where you are today is difficult to find oneself, one's soul. The soul, yes, has been deactivated, at least in the verbal sense. Like you're not going around and talking about on a vocal sense. It's not, you're not talking about chakras, you're not talking about spiritual energies, not talking about dimensions, not talking about other realities. It's not part of your daily grind. Now it is for some of you. And yes, those of you who are seeing more fourth-dimensional energies, seeing anomalies, means you've healed a great deal of your inner child. But many of you, inner child, well, some of you brought a lot of this darkness here for various different reasons. Some of it was this necessity. Some of you got taken over, and you kind of like you were part of the problem, and now you're part of the solution. So it's like you make a lot of mistakes in the ancient world, and you kind of like not necessarily pay for the mistake, but try to fix the mistake through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. And some of you are feeling that, especially do spiritual work, talking about aliens and reptilians and spirit guides and going a little bit further than others, or you're all going a little bit further than each other, actually. You're all opening up your reality, opening up doors that have not been opened for a very long time. And yeah, it's a lot of skepticism around it. But you're connected to unknown realms, wizard worlds. Also, your Orion worlds can be seen very easily. Those worlds that are causing difficulties here can actually be unlocked. As you get more known to yourself and allow these different places to be seen, you can see where the manipulations are coming from. And some of you have already experienced that. Some of those are Men in Black, some of those are reptilian energies, some of those are Orion, and so forth. As even Sirius, like your world, has been hijacked. So it's not just your planet been hijacked. A lot of Syrian worlds have been hijacked. Have lower dimensional energies that cause a lot of difficulties for your world to even think straight. Because a lot of them incarnate from one manipulated world to another manipulated world. They go from one back and forth to different manipulated worlds. So it's hard to unlock a planet that's under this type of stress. You can say healing secret societies is one way of doing so. Like what's your connection to some of them, especially Illuminati energies. Of course, they're all Illuminati, but just the Illuminati Center. The Illuminati Center, you can go about what you feel on that, but it's supposed to be like the mothership, the eye of the storm. And also, the symbols like on money that's caused manipulation. You can channel those energies always have from yourself. Some of you might have been part of putting those symbols there to begin with, or even part of the programming. Such as the dollar. The dollar is just used because it's frequent, it's seen. Of course, not so much anymore, but at one time it was seen. It's just as long as people are touching the US dollar, because it has a symbolism on there, and it's codes. It's coding your reality to keep you under control. And they're using companies use codes, they're using everything, music to use codes to keep you in an imbalance. So basically, we're going through a reset. And there are positive elite beings that want a reset. So to hear the reset things, like open up the door and see if you see anything before it gets close. So we're just putting this out there that awakening, those that are here to awaken sometimes have a short window, like your lifespan. You're here to put out your awakening as long as you can, and then when you're gone, the awakening is over. Now others are pulling from that same awakening energy, can continue on. So, of course, if you keep putting it out there, obviously eventually others will notice it. But there is a doorway into other worlds. And that is what you're learning about here. Greetings. We are the Orions. Once again, I am Victor. There are beings that have achieved higher dimensional energies, 12th dimensional knowledge, and are using it against worlds like yours, finding ways of basically peeling back your existence and to imprison the mind, the body, the soul, for enrichment of those in the higher dimensions, especially those that have lost their power. There's a lot of beings that have lost their energies that are siphoning off of humans. You can say Archon beings, because as Archons lower their vibrations and destroy themselves, they need somebody to leech on to regain their power. So if they pull someone to suicide, yeah, they can take that person's power. And it happens a lot. or pull someone into depression. You're always getting pulled into a lower dimensional frequency in some form or another. Not everybody is ready for it. There's just a lot of self-love answers. There's a lot of self-healing that has to be done. Are you truly ready for what is happening here? Obviously, not everything has been fully mentioned, but your race has been used as a guinea pig by higher dimensional beings that they have many ways of removing the karma from themselves and putting on the human race, especially when the human race is doing so much negativity. They find a way. Yes, they do receive karma in a form, but they also, all of the elites find every way they can out of it. And yes, eventually they have to go through negative karma depending on what it is. But you're here to release their karma and have them show themselves. Yes, they've connected to many planets like the golden planet or planets that are have rich resources. And these are worlds that the Anunnaki live on. Even the Anunnaki have been taken advantage of by each other, but also by other species. There is also a group that's going to find a way to manipulate other groups. And this is what you're here to understand. And yes, the secret societies has been programmed because they have their own light codes or programs. Much of it's in religion. So they're controlling a lot of the text that's in the religion to keep the soul in lockdown. Even if you read like a book, not to mention which one, but certain religious books, it actually holds the soul here. I mean, if you have a belief system of what you're reading and you allow your soul to be imprisoned here, it can be. And this is why some of your religious figures come from too, because they're so devoted into religion. They die by it, die the word of God that's in that book, and they reincarnate and they can't get out of that trap. So belief system. So some people are afraid of being trapped here. What is your belief system saying? Are you really worried about anything? I mean, some feel like if they don't believe in a certain belief system, such as a religion, they're going to go into hell and whatever it might be. That's what keeps them trapped here. The devotion to usually a belief system which is connected to religion. We're mentioning, we say all religions have that. Without going into full details, it's a mental trap, and many are taught as a child. Now, why do you go through this? Well, many souls, they are, yes, self-love. And so you have no self-love for yourself. You don't care about yourself. You say you do, but do you really? And you get trapped here. You want to be a good person, but you go by the system what it tells you what to do. Until you realize that the system telling you what to do is not a good energy or entity for that matter. And it's like manufacturing. You know how you're manufacturing products and things, or humans are being manufactured too. Meaning they're being stamped with programming and they go through the system. Now, some of you jump off the line and say, you know what, I'm not going to be programmed by this anymore. Obviously, it doesn't go too well. You leave the earth programming, the earth system, at least the belief system, and you create your own. There's nothing wrong with that. It's scary, it's uncomfortable, but you're not being sucked in by the vacuum of manipulation. Greetings, we other Orions. This is Victor. Your planet, as you know, has been hijacked, pulled into the third dimensional mindsets, reprogrammed, retooled, weaponized, put backwards into existence. Even their conversations are not as fluid and happy as it could be. Even language has been used against you. Well, of course, living life, many of you know there's much more that could be lived. As you know, you're capable of much more than what you're experiencing currently. As the third dimension is reprogramming you constantly. Because your physical reality is programming you to basically dial yourself down, shut yourself down. It has to do with the vibrations that are used here. It's used, the sun is used against you, as some of you might be able to notice. It's basically to shut you down, and this is why so many cause violence on your world, because you're pushed instead of ascending. I mean, there is ascension going on, but there's also a pushback. This is why so many get so many negative thoughts, negative emotions, violence towards others, is because you're pushed into that lower dimensional energy. And done by design, of course. I mean, you weaponize your people, that's the best weapon you can ever have. When humans are destroying themselves, or any species for that matter, who is winning? Those that are not in the war. So you're warning, as you're fighting among each other, why are you fighting among each other? Who's causing this? Who's the one trying to push you towards that? So you're going to a time of where, yes, we're media talking towards, and your 1984 does exist currently. Not in the form of the book, but it does exist already. Does someone make it worse? The idea is to unlock it, release it from your planet. The DNA of humans have been reversed to, well, you go forward, but then there's others that push you backwards. And a lot of it is done by words. And you know, words are very powerful. It's like a song, but you're using it as a communication. Now, if you're telepathic, you probably will not be in this situation at all because you see into the mind very easily. But because the telepathic ability has been shut down, you're using voice and sound is once again you can use against you. So the words, the thought patterns used against each other, just very sophisticated here. So how to heal from this is clearing out, backing away from the manipulations on multiple ends. Yes, who are these large corporations that are programming society? What are they hiding? So as you recognize how words are being used against you, some of you are already aware of it, but it's not exactly the easiest to. I mean, they call it daily life, but it's more like daily manipulation to break you down. Some of you know you can have better conversations, better experiences in life, basically to levitate, fly, whatever it might be, go into other realities. Now, obviously, you're stagnant. You can't. Obviously, in your astral plane, in your mind, you can, which is very healthy, but you're also aware your body can do the same thing also. This is what you're moving towards. You're moving the brick away from yourself. Like you're going forward, you're hitting a wall, but it's invisible, and you're releasing it. How you're releasing it is by knowing about it. That's not something you have to think about constantly, but just realizing the words that's being used in daily conversation by your mainstream people. You know, as you probably some of you been through mundane conversations that go nowhere. They're very, as you call it, normal. Because those conversations are there to keep the third dimension going. As some of you want to connect more to your power and your higher dimensional self, your conversations are not mundane third dimensional energies. Yes, you might have subject matters here and there, but that's about it. As you go more into the fourth dimension, you realize your telepathic energies are begin to open because you realize sound, voice, speaking can be used against you. Greetings from spirit. Your inner child, yes, is your most fragile self. Is a side of you that is not obviously the easiest to heal. There's a part of you where everything's absorbed like a child. It absorbs everything. But this is from past lives, spiritual lives, all lives. And to release his energy, first off, is just to visualize the inner child, however you want to visualize it. And yourself, it doesn't mean actually have to be you as a child. It can be just what you would feel as a child. What does your inner child just look like in general? That's another way of healing yourself. Because some just want to see themselves as an inner child as 5, 6, 7, or younger, and you don't have to do that. I mean, those images might come to you, but just basically allowing just whatever comes to mind. It might look like a reptilian, might look like a gray, might look like a fairy, might look like a creature. Whatever it might be, that's another way to release lower dimensional energies and connect more to yourself. The more you are real to yourself, and yeah, sometimes the more scarier it looks, but that also shows the more it needs to release. Yeah, it's like a tentacle monster. Now, yeah, it's just a part of you that you're letting go of. And it's just an easier inner child healing is not obviously the easiest to tap into. And you can use Arcturian energies, you can use different vibrations. It's because you're a human, you are in physical form. Your soul is not, you're not trained to release blockages in your soul. You're trained to be physical instead. Physical problems and psychic phenomenons are not seen as anything. If you're a spiritual being, like a fourth dimensional being, fifth dimensional being, or just your society is just complete. Because as you add more spirituality to your existence, not through religion, but just spirituality in general, you become less dense. Just like that. And slowly, over time, become less and less dense. Whereas most of your population obviously is not looking at their inner child, or even understanding how to heal it. For our message to you is just to let it form as it needs to show itself. And yes, you'll have a major release. Let it take whatever form it needs, reptilian, insectoid, whatever it might be, or angel, and it'll help you come more into yourself. Because you're on this planet, many of you have had negative lifetimes here. And sometimes you might be in denial of these things that might have happened, but it's another way of releasing low vibrational energies or entities. It's a program of society. Humans are programmed to be physical. So you are obviously programmed to be physical. So your controllers of your world focus on the physical and disconnect the spiritual. On most worlds, well, yes, most, connecting to your soul is number one. It's always known. Whereas when you go through the dimensions and depends on what world it is, yeah, the soul becomes more distant. On your planet, it doesn't practically even exist. At least in your vocabulary, you're not going to schools to understand your soul as what you should be doing. Understand where you come from, healing any blockages. I mean, that's what pretty much school should be doing, basically a cleansing of all lifetimes. So you can function better here at a higher form. So that's where your school energy should really go into and allow your knowledge to come out, releasing the blockages and allow your true self to be revealed. And all this physical reality, as fine as it is, I mean, there's nothing wrong with physical reality. It's just this one's been used against you. You can still connect to your spiritual self and allow your physical being to be here. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's plenty of worlds that are third dimensional. It's just this one is, once again, is used to just shut out the physical, non-physical altogether, where it does not exist, and that's what you're here to resurrect. A deep energy within yourself. Is this what does your soul even look like? Does it look like a human? Does it look like an energy field? Does it look like a rabbit, a cat? What is your what form does it take? Of course, it can take many forms. Greetings. We are beings from, yes, the 100th dimension, and some of us are from the 12th dimension. So yeah, as you go into your future, your prediction, even your predictions of your future, of realizing yes, you're going more into the higher frequencies. So those that are at the obviously the low frequency of third dimension or even second dimension, some people actually think in a one-dimensional way, especially if they're really involved with sports and just all they care about is one thing. It can be very one-dimensional. That's not exactly a bad thing. Many are just exploring themselves in different levels of reality. So as you shift into a more space knowledge world, it's not going to make it, space isn't going to just, you're just going to be living in space right away, far from it. As humanity has to take little baby steps, very, very small steps, because humanity is terrified of it. So yeah, this is like your railroad. Humans going into the railroad, basically, where you can travel to other places where you couldn't travel before. So you're laying the groundwork into a whole nother. So even like the railroad, that was pretty much the unknown. Cars, yes, was obviously another one. So you can say you're building the road to space. And yes, there's going to be many hurdles because you're going up. So, and many are going to live in the oceans also in your future too. Well, once you get space figured out a little bit for more of your common people to live there, yes, to buy things. There'll be a mall in space somewhere eventually. They're not going to make money on. I mean, they're going to try and make money. It doesn't mean they're going to make money on it. But they're going to have your first space mall, your stores, and all of this when they have it all or a space station. Of course, you're a long ways from that, but that's the plan, as some of you already know. Yes, a lot of nature connected to it to certain places. You can say this is kind of like for the elite, but not, yes and no. Even cars were for the elite in the beginning, like your one percenters. So, and there's a lot of deaths in the cars too, in the early, when cars were invented. So, and you can say trains also. So, you're going to have your one percenters that are going to be your test audience, and then you're going to have your normal people that are going to actually live longer than your rich people, which is going to be kind of interesting. So your daring rich people that pretty much like their whole reason for life is to go into space, be the first person there, and then some might not live very long after that. But that was what they're going to be known for. It's like if a spaceship explodes, a spaceship explodes. That's what they're going to be known for. So, but yes, you're basically your 1% is going to find space in some form or another, a space colony or whatever verbiage you want to use. And then the rest of you start to join. It's probably be at least 100 years or so for actual humans to be normal in space. At least 100 years. We don't have a full detail of it just yet. Timelines can shift easily. We don't see many humans on your moon, at least that we're seeing at this point. But we do see colonies in space. We'll just leave it general. Where yes, you can live there, buy things, and even have a job, which would be mostly with a computer. Where some will work fast food, but mostly there'll be robot energies involved with that. But there will still be humans involved too. Where human and machine is going to start connecting. So as you go more, I guess say, the 100-year mark, human and machine will begin to become more parts of each other's lives. And that's when the robot evolution. Now you will see a version of a robot evolution in your reality, but not too extreme, unless a timeline comes out of nowhere, which is always possible. Yes, timelines here aren't going to be 100% clear because many are shifting constantly. So it's never going to have a clear road ever. But we do see at least 100 years or more where people will be living out space and seeing as nothing. Now, is that always going to work out? No. They're always settlers. It's not going to be good. It'd be like your Old West. It's going to be few scattered out as once again as your normal people, and then to become more daring once they get used to it. Well, trying new things, even yes, robbing banks if there is a bank to rob. Hackers will hack the hell out of this whole thing, even hack the life support out of a space station. So be aware of that. So when your average people are connected to these space realms, yes, expect a lot of breakdowns due to human evolution. We do see a lot of your governments involved with it too, of facilitating a lot of this, paying for it. Well, because they want funding from somewhere, so they invest in it, and then they want to reap the rewards. They also want to control it. Now, alien life, we're not going to go into details of because that timeline can change. But the timeline we'll tell you the timeline that we are on. Most likely, they'll brief about alien life. Most likely, they're going to keep alien life out of your lives. So, at least now that can vary on timelines, of course, of what we are really getting into. But when you go into space, you're going to, well, it all depends on who's going into space. But from what we see at this point, they're going to keep a lot of it hearsay. Well, because the humans that are controlling your society want to control the aliens. Now, fake alien invasions and all that, we're not going into that. But to say like your governments want to keep aliens out because so they can rule you. So tax you, rule you, name you, have an identity. They have no identity. Governments have no identity. Most of them don't. Some of them have a hive mind because meaning they want you to think what they want you to think, and that does work to a certain extent, but it doesn't work with everyone. Yeah, if your government's got their way, depending on the government, they just put energy out there, and people would just listen to what they're being told, and that would be it. People will do it, and easy as pie. Obviously, there's a lot of resistance here, which is good. Greetings to you. We are future timelines. Now, I'm not here to give you the future because you're here to discover it, learn it from yourself. Now, there are many people here that actually see the future. Now, do you believe the future or not is up to you. Where it goes, like some people here just have a knowing. But they can't always get their lives together, or they have nobody knows who they are. Some of you are here to bring a resistance energy, resist the darkness. They're not always seeing where things are going because you're not supposed to. So that's why so many get the future wrong in predictions. You're not really supposed to see it. You can if you want to adapt to that energy, and of course you connect to others when you do finally see the future, but then you get influenced by others, or they're trying to change your mind because they don't see that. But some of you do see a future where there is actually a timeline break, meaning that you might have predicted the future, then it was wrong, but then later on you end up being right. So, such as your presidential situation might not go as actually as you thought, but there is unpredicted timelines where there can be a break where unexpectedness occurs. So, in your current health situation. Now, this is very touchy with even the astral plane. They don't want to give you the keys to where the future goes because you're here to figure things out for yourself. And if you need to figure out the future, if you need to know the future, or the future is just very clear to you, why do you even need to be here? So some of you actually see the future and fog it out and put out the false prediction because you'd be surprised how often that's being done, because you're there to experience the future, not to see it. You can see in the other realms, and everybody here knows where the future goes, but you erase your memory on purpose on many different levels. It's just there's yes many deep reasons that now if you truly need to know where the future goes, and you need to have that prediction for certain people for their health reasons or whatever it might be. But the future is always going to be a hazy, just you can say a hazy mess, because many will have their intentions. They want you to predict a certain type of futures. Like we want you to tell us what we want to hear. And that can block someone's predicting of the future. You have all these people that have an agenda of who they want to win, like in an election, and you might see it differently, but it gets manipulated and you give them what they want. And it ends up being wrong. So energy manipulation is very real. It's like you want someone to tell you you're going to get married. It's like, oh yeah, you'll get married in no time, and then you don't get married. Or oh, I'm going to get this job. I'm going to get this job, and you don't get the job, and you predicted they would get it. So energy manipulation is very, very popular here with the people of Earth. So when someone's putting out the energy, like the big one is job, to get a job, a job that you want, and also a relationship. Like, wow, I really want that person. And you ask someone for a prediction, you're going to end up with that person. They say, well, judging by the energies, yes, I feel like you're going to see that person, or you're going to be with that person. And then it doesn't happen. So identifying energy manipulation isn't the easiest. Not everybody is here to clear that manipulation out. And a lot of times it's impossible to clear out. It's like you're giving them that prediction, even if it's false. But for them, it's comfort. Until the truth hits in. I didn't get that. Oh. Maybe I should watch my energy field. Maybe I should not put out that vibration when I manipulate someone else's energy field, giving me false predictions. How can someone give you the right prediction if you're putting out energy saying, I want, I want, I want? And that's not really, your guys are saying something else, but they're being blocked out. So someone tries to give you the answer, but they can't get to your answer because you put, I want, and you're blocking spirit guide communication. This is very common, very difficult to heal, especially when you're answering questions for people all the time. And you answer on the fly, it's like yes or no. It's like, no, judging by the vibrations. Like, instead of doing, I mean, is a person supposed to do energy clearing every 5 minutes and see your manipulation around? They can't always see all energy manipulations either that people are setting out. It's very difficult. It takes time to see it. And even the most sophisticated seers or intuitives can't always see through something like that. Some can, but it's very few. And they're not always doing readings for people either. So seeing the future is, yes, complicated. But for humanity to really get the right prediction, they got to calm down expectations. To clear their energy field for you to give a proper reading. Because many just say, I want this, I want this, I want this. And that's all you pick up. Like, I guess you're going to get it then. So, yes, the future is, and that is on all timelines. Yes, like a presidential candidate that's going to supposedly win. And when you have a whole country pushing, oh, win, 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 and then they lose. And yeah. So that's going to be in the next part of your evolution, is healing that energy, which is not easy to heal. Greetings, we are your consciousness of your planet. Or we are from spirit, we're also part of your human trafficking understanding or consciousness. Now, a lot of human trafficking has been done in, yes, China. China, you can say, is number one. But Russia is being used to hide a lot of it through propaganda. Now, not Russia itself. The government isn't always parts of the government, KGB, air energies. You gotta look into that. Obviously, it's not always going to make itself, but your secret defense, um, like CIA, things of that kind, are fully aware of what's going on. Not to all details, but yes, there's a deep it's a deep knowing there. And of course, they say nothing because there's agendas to be done, payment to be put out there. As you know, payment, people payment. Yes, unfortunately. Yes, when dollars mean nothing and people means everything. Now, souls that do this, that use people for profit, have pretty much lost their purpose of existence. When you've gotten that bad, where you just don't care, where people truly matter, well, they don't matter. Even as billionaires, where they hit such a power level where they just don't care about human life at all. Now, some of these souls can change themselves for the better. Many don't. Many have just lost their purpose of existence. And this is a test to see, they use their power for good or for evil. A lot of them are using it for evil. You'd be surprised how many billionaires they're given that position to actually do a lot of good. And yes, they might put their own lives in danger. But if you care about other people, some just don't give a shit. So it's like I'm doing the right thing. If I die, I die. But look at how much. I mean, you're living in a life of luxury, boats, expenses and things like that. You're you have the name of this person. One moment. That actually was a billionaire. That actually Paul Allen. That was actually helping to solve this crisis secretly. Paul Allen is the founder of Microsoft. He did it to a degree. It did not go too deeply, at least from what we are allowed to say. But he was involved in actually wanting to end the crisis. He knew of it. He did whatever he could. So he did, like I said, to end human trafficking, not to be a part of it. And of course, he lost a lot of his money also because of it. He didn't, yeah, he didn't, well, where his life went up in the air, actually. So a lot of your leads it's like hands off from the human trafficking energy too. I mean, some are involved, some aren't, some just know just like this is not their territory. They just stay out of it. But not all negative elites are involved with it either. There are some negative elites. It's like that's their level, that's their job, that's what they chose. Some are actually destined for it, but they can also change their reality. They can also shift out of that. But many choose not to. Don't care. It's it's the power of the people. And this, of course, goes into your celebrity world where we can't go into full detail of how that works. But you can say some of your celebrities have been human trafficked in a certain way, like as children. That's where it gets really sophisticated. Where you have a human trafficked family kind of like designed to infiltrate your world, meaning like a so-called celebrity, like an average Joe, where their actually lives are actually set up, which is really sophisticated, but it can be done. Yeah, we have true, and the human trafficking has been going on for forever. So we have human trafficked families that have been designed as normal people, and all of a sudden they become celebrities on their planet. But yet they're like satanic or whatever it might be. Yeah, that's a lot of engineering that goes into that. And that's one of the reasons why it happens. A lot of your human trafficked people are on other worlds also. They've been taken to other planets for feeding, for reptilian beings, for regeneration, basically to build other human colonies, other realities. When they say human colony, what does that mean exactly? Human colony of taking human slaves to other planets, and now you have another slave planet. So the word human colony is good to be careful of that terminology because it can be used for positive, but there's also a negative tone to it. So almost like brothel. Like brothel can have some positive, but also be like really darkness, evil. So, and why is this happening on your planet is because why human trafficking is happening is because of yes, the physicality of the human, the DNA of human. DNA here is unbelievable. The low, as long as they can keep the low vibrations on a planet, they always keep it exactly like yours. Well, it's like think of like your planet is like an oven, and they just change the degrees on it to lower the vibrations of it. So now, some human worlds, there are others that actually broke out of the matrix. Realize there's not many people on that planet either. They just really figured things out. It took them a while, but they figured. But it's like a few thousand people though. So, and the ones that created the matrix kind of let them alone, kind of let them do their thing, and didn't really think they would be able to figure themselves out. So. Greetings, we are the Arcturian High Council. We're also connected to the universe itself. As yes, there are many entries into your world from higher dimensional realms. So you have a planet like Venus or Uranus tapping into Earth's energy, and it brings a form here. It brings a matter. And you'd be surprised how much Uranus is actually connected to your oceans. And Venus is connected to love, actually. The human experience. Of course, everything is human experience. You can say Venus played Uranus actually played a role in closing down your world, having no choice because it became dangerous to other planets. So it did it through its oceans. One of the reasons why it has salt. It just kind of muddied the energies because yes, humans are at a level where they just were not safe anymore, even for themselves. As they were lowering their vibrations, they can either become very dark, like illuminate everyone, or just not healthy, where they're dark and light and just no balance. Where it was just you ever have somebody very high vibrational, or somebody that's very evil, and so here you have more of a balance. So the planets played a big role. Saturn also, and basically just keeping yourself together. Now you have duck beings here that brought their vibrations here that brought the duck here in the physical. Normally ducks are in higher vibrations, but they do have physical realms. Basically, your animals here are just help to ground your earth. It's also the elephant. The elephant actually plays a big role in just steering the earth into the right direction. Of course, see the right direction here. But yeah, elephants have experience, especially when they assisted a lot of ape gorilla planets. Or the gorilla and the elephant don't always get along with each other. Of course, a lot of things don't get along. The gorilla planets are actually quite similar to yours. Maybe not to this level of negativity, but they've come close. So this is like a diamond in a rough, this planet, because of its low, energies. It's unique for its density level. So it's just not many worlds that, I mean, there are worlds that are just horrible, but they're at a higher frequency. They're still physical humans, not at your level, but they're still physical human. They have a little bit more luck going for them. They just don't have this kind of paused reality. You can say the reason why time was placed here as it is to really slow things down because there's so much negativity here. It's hard to handle it. So things could go faster. And technically, for some people, it does go fast, technically, but not for everybody. But because of all the negativity here, the brakes had to be hit on the planet. So everything had to become extremely boring. Because if it went any faster, it'd be too much for people to handle. You're already having people are already having trouble. Now think about those people that are going through depression and anxiety or a loss in the family and a death. And think about speeding up that process of can you grieve a little bit faster? Can you no, they need that slowness so they can heal. So it's slow for a reason. It might not be slow for everybody, but it is slow for some souls that just need it. They just need things to be slow. When you go through a trauma, obviously you like to speed through it, but you don't always learn what you need to learn from it. And the healing from the trauma, because that's why other planets are a higher frequency. They move so fast, they don't learn what they need to learn usually. Of course, a lot of humans don't learn what they need to learn here, but for specific reasons, this is why the world is the way it is. It was a loved one, especially before their time, through an accident or wherever it might be, that's just traumatizing to the family. And it's hard to grieve. And you need time to grieve. So that's one of the reasons why the world is slow. It has to be. Now, yes, with it being slow caused a lot of problems also. People get impatient, people cause more crimes. I mean, it's like either one, you get one or the other. It's like you speed things up, and this was once again it's such a low vibration. You can say take this as you want, but why things are so slow? It's like you have criminals out there, but also gives time for the police to find them. It's like a fast getaway, like a criminal does a crime. I know it sounds strange in this reality, in this context, but if things go slow, if the world is just extremely boring, you have a bank robber trying to find, or even a someone that does human trafficking, when things slow, the person trying to solve that crime can get somewhere. Now, obviously, not going to solve every crime, but it gives you kind of an idea. And yes, there are places of hiding human traffickers and all that too. But that has a lot to do with government. Government, not all governments, but a lot of them are designed to let trafficking happen, as you are seeing currently. Okay, it's Biden's brain. So, why not, right? I would just, I'm just gonna go into it. So, all right, blessings. Greetings. This is Biden's brain. Yes, there's a lot of selfishness. There's a lot of pride. A lot of arrogance. There is some compassion only if it serves oneself. Yes, there's a lot of gangster energies there. A lot of narcissism. There's a lot of privilege, Illuminati implants of what to say and what to do. A lot of insect implants also of mannerisms, how to act, how to be, how to connect with others. Insect beings are very good at observing humans, even if they're not human, but they're just very good at observing. There are many, yes, cloning, we say, factories in other dimensions, mostly the fourth dimension. So the fourth dimension can infiltrate the third dimension without a problem. It can tinker, it can upgrade, downgrade, whatever it wants to do. Due to the Illuminati mind, infrastructure. It's yes, aliens doing it. It's a whole nother society, basically. Think of like a cloning society. The entire cloning society. The whole thing is about cloning people in this reality, and they think nothing of it. To them, that is normal. So replacing people in this reality is like replacing tires on a car. I mean, they just don't see it as a big deal in any form, fashion. So slowly, this reality becomes more well known. There's a lot of deep wounds within it. It's controlled society just like yours. It's, yes, Archon based. Of course, yes, your military is aware of it, but it's not going to make itself clear anytime soon. So, for those that want just information, people want, obviously not going by what people believe it or not. There is, yes, a third dimensional cloning form or technologies that not even the third dimension fully understands. Those in the military, there's this alien beings that made a promise to do their agenda, and you can say a lot of military officials are just kind of going with it, and they have no choice. So, like the military knows something's been hijacked presidentially or other, but presidentially definitely, but they don't quite understand it. At least that's what we're allowed to say at this time. They know that there's an infiltration going on um, beyond understanding of this reality, and they just have to go with it. They have no choice. And there is a secret military called your shadow government that is in a whole nother dimension. So you can say your shadow government. There is a third dimensional shadow government, but also a fourth dimensional shadow government. And they don't always know each other. How they just kind of third dimensional shadow government kind of goes with it. Just like how you go in your lifetimes, where you don't know where things are going to go. You just kind of do the best you can. There is a female Illuminati that is trying to do good here. She's not known, of course, but she's aware of these projects that are done in other dimensions, where eventually this will become more part of your conversation, but many are still holding back. So this is a Illuminati codex that's done on this world. A code like a lock from what's happening, what you are experiencing, and that lock creates your reality, you can say. It keeps out the true reality. The true reality, basically, who's messing with your reality, basically. So, of course, they keep the vibrations low here so you can't see what the other dimensions are doing right now. So they do all these negative events to just keep the fog going. Of course, they keep the fog going so well. There's not many glitches, but there are always going to be glitches, of course. When you're putting up an energy field like this, called your reality, there's always going to be faults within the timeline.